Podcasting from Hartford, you're listening to the Connecticut Scoreboard Podcast.
So joining me today, we've got UConn football coach Randy Edsall. Coach, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Happy to have you back on again this year.
Yeah, it's nice to be on.
Coach, so I've got some football that I obviously want to talk about. But before that, I know camp's starting this week. We're still in the heart of summer, which is prime golf season. I saw you had a hole-in-one a couple weeks ago. You did well at the Peach Bowl Challenge. Is this the peak of your golf game so far this season?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate. I had 2 hole-in-ones this summer. I had 2 within 6 weeks, and had one on May 23rd and then one on July 3rd. So, and then the Peach Bowl Challenge. And yeah, the clubs actually went away like 2 days ago. So, yeah, as you can see, I've been out playing golf. I got a nice tan. So, but that's over with now, and it's all football from here on in.
There you go. You got the most out of it while you're able to get out there and play. I know last year, it had to be an interesting year for you with no games being played. Take us through, what was that year off like for the team? And I know it's just a year off from games, but what were your goals from that year off from games? And what were you able to accomplish with the players during that time?
Well, it actually was the best thing that we could have done for our program and for our kids, because we really have played a lot of young kids in 3 years and played as freshmen and weren't really ready to play, and their bodies weren't really where they needed to be in order to give them the most opportunity to be able to win. Mm-hmm. And so really what it did for us, it allowed us to develop our kids physically in the weight room and do the things that make it necessary to put them in a position to go out and play the best they can, and then ultimately help the team win. And then secondly, the time that we were able to spend in the meeting room doing walkthroughs on the practice field really enhanced us from a mental standpoint in terms of understanding our schemes, and also being able to teach the game of football to them even more on a more relaxed basis, and not having to worry about game planning each and every week, and taking the time to do those things. So now, our guys have a much better understanding of what we're doing and what they're supposed to do offensively, defensively, and special teams, and also understand how defenses and offenses work in terms of the things that they need that they're going to go against. So and again, they got a chance to develop their bodies and not get beat up at the same time.
Definitely. In terms of the workouts that the team was able to do and the walkthroughs that you were able to do you feel like you got a lot out of that period, and it really is going to prove beneficial this season out there for the team?
Yeah, we really did. And, and the thing that's different, I mean, like this summer, we can't work with them. It's just Coach King and his staff, but they were basically having practices on their own, and, that never happened before. Mm-hmm. They weren't able to do that. And so, or couldn't do it basically. So, that's the thing that, again, for our situation, it was really good. And the one thing that I will say is this: you can have all this time that we had, but if the kids didn't put the time and the effort into it, Definitely. it wouldn't matter. But again, I think people will see tomorrow, and then as they come to the open practice and the media comes around to practice, you're going to see a whole different team physically. You're going to see a whole different team mentally. You're going to see a whole different team in terms of their enthusiasm and accountability. So from a coaching standpoint, we've got ourselves to a point where, and I've said this, you'll really become a good team when it's a player-driven team rather than a coach-driven team. And mm-hmm. Right now, this team is finally being player-driven rather than having the coaches have to do it. So now we can spend our time on putting them in the best position to be successful.
Yeah, great to hear. With camp getting started, what are your goals now heading into camp as you get ready for the season to start?
Well, it's continue to develop the guys and find out who the best 22 are, who are the best 11 on offense, who are the best 11 on defense, and then and trying to develop a two deep as well. I mean, that's the one thing we have a lot of guys that have been around here now, and have opportunities to practice. Now, you know, the competition that we're going to have, I think, is going to be outstanding. And now we're going to be able to, we're going to be able to put the best product on the field. And there's going to be guys that are going to have to compete each and every day to hold their job. And as a coach, that's what you're looking for. And then again, the more guys that we can develop, and understand that we feel confident that they can go in and be successful, the better team we're going to be.
I'm curious to dive a little bit more into the competition side of things, because I know just from looking at the roster that you guys got, it's a pretty deep team. I know especially the battle for quarterback is going to be interesting. What do you look for as you go into evaluating a battle for different positions out there, and just throwing the quarterback one out there as an example?
Well, who is the guy that can go out and execute, what we as coaches feel needs to be done to, play that position? Who can do it on a consistent basis, day in and day out? And again, sometimes it might not be who people think, but again, and especially the quarterback, who can go out and execute and make the throws, move the team down the field, and get them to score. And then who's that guy that the team you can kind of sense when the team rallies around a certain guy, and then on the other positions, it's just about who can go out. I mean, it's just like quarterback, who can go out and execute and do their job and be able to make plays consistently, within the scheme of what you're trying to get done.
Right. In terms of getting ready for this season, I know it's going to be the first year now of actually playing games in an independent schedule. What are your thoughts on getting out there and finally being able to get this schedule underway?
Well, I'm just excited for our kids. I mean, because they're the ones that are playing the game. I'm not playing it. I'd be hurting after 5 plays anyhow, probably, if that. But I'm excited for them because I see all the hard work that they've put in, and then the challenges that I see. I mean, it's not an easy schedule. It's one that is going to challenge us each and every week, and we're going to have to make sure we take it one game at a time. But I'm excited for them because again, this is what they've worked for basically a year and a half now, to get the opportunity to play these kind of teams that we're going to play and go out and be able to win, and then do the things that you do after you win enough games to continue your season, in December.
Mm-hmm. And I've got to thank you, Coach, for this schedule. I'm getting married this fall, and you guys got a bye week on the wedding day, so thank you for that. I don't have to worry about missing a game, so I appreciate that.
I'm not too thrilled about having 2 weeks off in a row, but and again, this year's schedule was a little bit different because of the fact that so quickly that you had to put a schedule together that it might not be as ideal as you'd like to have it, where you're playing 9 and then you got 2 weeks off and then you play 3 more. With the opening up on week 0, you'd like to have a, bye, say, after the 4th week and then another one after the 8th week or something. But, you just couldn't do that based on how we had to schedule. But moving forward, I think our schedules will be a little bit more where we might get that bye in the middle of the season as opposed to, that late in the year.
All right. In terms of, I know one thing that was missing a bit from being in the American were some of those regional rivalries. And going independent, I know just looking at the schedule, you've got games lined up against UMass, you've got Army, you've got some of those other, older Big East teams back on there. What does it mean to get to play some of those teams and start to establish some of those newer rivalries with, say, Army or UMass?
Well, again, I think it's really good. I mean, Army's an independent, so is UMass. So, you can play those 2 teams, each year, which helps you from a scheduling standpoint. And it's easy trips for our fans to get to. But then, we're going to be playing Syracuse. We want to be able to play, Boston College again. And then we're going to play the, teams from the ACC, that we've played, previously. So I think it's good that you can play those games. And again, it's it's familiarity with our fan base and, who those teams are. And I think, being an independent, it gives you that opportunity to do that, where you can play and also play more of the Power Five conferences than we could have teams than we could have played, being in the conference we were in. So again, we're just trying to do the things that help us elevate our program, but also be able to help us from a recruiting standpoint as well.
Absolutely, and I think that's a perfect segue. It seems like recruiting's really been on the rise, and I know you can't comment on anyone yet, but how have recruits reacted when to this move to independence? Has this been something that's been exciting to them as you've been talking about it with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you can show them the schedule and the teams that they're going to play over the next 4 to 5 years when they're here, and then also, you have a major television network and deal with CBS Sports Network. I think all those things, aided us in what we want to do from a recruiting standpoint, and it's hit home with the kids that we have targeted.
And the past couple weeks, we've seen some crazy rumors out there around conference realignment, and I know UConn has been part of those in the past. With what's going on now, can you see some other schools jumping into the world of independence and possibly this becoming more commonplace in the college football landscape?
I think that will happen, because I do believe this, that we're in a better situation now than what we were for us,
Hmm.
for UConn. Maybe that might not be for everybody, but for us, it is. And so, from that standpoint, again, I think a lot of it will depend on, whether people can maybe get a TV deal, and to do that. So, it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds. I mean, I think it's a little bit chaotic right now in terms of the college football world, in terms of everything that's going on. And, but I don't think it's all going to shake out until, I mean, I think Texas and Oklahoma are definitely gone, and they'll maybe start playing in 2025. And, I think you're going to have the Big Ten and the Pac-12, who's going to be more aggressive to try to go after those other teams. My own opinion, I think the Big 12 is done. I don't think they're not going to be able to take teams and bring them in to enhance losing to Texas and Oklahoma. So I kind of see that one probably dissolving, a little bit. The ACC, I know it seems like West Virginia is trying to get in there, but a lot of this, it all comes down to money, and they're tied up in a long-term deal, and could they get Notre Dame? But Notre Dame loves their independence in football, and they got they got everybody else taken care of with the ACC. So I don't know. I think the two biggest mover and shakers now moving forward will either be the Big Ten or the Pac-12.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting landscape. See how things shake out over the coming years. I know with camp not having started yet, it might be a little tough, but for those fans out there who are looking for a bit of a preview into what they can expect out of the team this year, what are your expectations for the team, and what can fans expect to see out there once you guys take the field the end of August? It's coming up quickly.
Well, I just think they're going to see a team that has the ability to go out and compete and win now. I think we put ourselves in a position physically to be able to do that. And I believe that from a mental standpoint as well. Now, what we've got to do is have to go out and just work to get better each and every day. And you're going to see a team that's going to be aggressive. It's going to be physical. It's going to take advantage of the talent that we have available and put them in the best possible position in order to be successful. And I think the one thing is you're going to see a team that plays with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. I mean, as we sit here today, I mean, the thing that I'm most pleased about, and I've talked all the time about this, you become a really, really good team when it's player driven rather than coach driven. And we're at the point now where this is, they finally understand and got it, that this is really a player driven team more than it is a coach driven team. And so there's a lot of guys that have invested a lot, and the they have a really good work ethic, and the accountability on themselves, but then on each other is like it's like it was when I was here before,
Mhm.
and that's why we were good then, and
Yeah.
that's why we'll get good again, because when they take ownership, then they've invested. I mean, and that's the one thing, this team is invested and put the work in to be good, and you'll see that from a physical standpoint, you'll see it from a mental standpoint, and you'll see it even from an enthusiastic standpoint. They've made the investment. Now it's our job as coaches to help them and put them in the right positions so they can go out and be successful when we start playing the games.
Coach, I'll get you out of here on this one. I know from having missed last season, I can't wait to get out to the Rent and be there for games. How excited are you to be able to bring a team back out on the field after what's gone on for the past, year and a half here, and just getting to be able to play games again?
Well, I'm more excited for the kids, because of what they've had to endure, uh, to get to this point and to go out and be able to play. And the one thing that I will say is that they've taken advantage of the opportunity that we had, and embraced the decision that we made. And because again, we had all this time, but unless you work and put the time in, it doesn't mean anything. But I mean, and again, you'll see it physically. I mean, their bodies are totally different, and like I said, the enthusiasm and the accountability is by far and away the best it's been since this coming back here. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited to that they're going to finally be able to get a chance after a year and a half of putting a lot of into it, and really not being able to see any rewards, being able to have that opportunity come August 28th.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, appreciate the time as always. Really looking forward to being out there at the open practice in a few weeks. And then we got the season on August 28th. So really looking forward to everything. Best of luck this season. And thanks for coming on again.
All right. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.